If you are an improviser who is looking for a way to make your solos sound more interesting, then this is the video that you have been waiting for. Today, I'm going to show you 3 really simple techniques that you can use to play outside of the changes. When you are new to improvising, you learn a whole bunch of different rules and techniques about how to play the right notes over the right chords. So you start off with your blues scale or your pentatonic scale. Eventually, you start reading chord symbols and plugging in your mixolydian, major, different types of minor scales. You get to the point where you can maneuver your way through chords and make everything make sense. You work on your voice leading, but something is still missing. It doesn't quite sound interesting. You can put energy in it, but it still needs that special sauce. So the special sauce in improvisation is breaking the rules. So when you break the rules, that means you're going to be playing stuff that is outside of what the chord symbols are telling you. So today I'm going to show you 3 really simple techniques that you can use to start making your solos sound a lot more interesting by playing outside of the chord changes. To learn these techniques, I am going to need to play over a backing track so you can hear that I am playing outside. So I am going to do one from my sax school, which is a song called Little Sunflower by Freddie Hubbard. And I chose this song because it is a modal song. All that means is that it stays in the same key for a long time. So the A section of this song is over a B minor 7 chord. So I'm going to show you how to use all of these techniques over a B minor 7 chord. But once you learn the technique, you can use it anywhere. To start off, I'm going to do an example where I improvise really inside the changes. So this entire A section is over a B minor 7 chord. So I'm just going to use my B Dorian minor scale and bring out my chord tones, which are B, D, F sharp, and A. So take a listen to this inside solo. That was a really nice sounding solo. All the notes were correct. It had a good feel. There was a good vibe. Most people would be very happy with that solo. But if I want to make it a whole lot more interesting, then I need to do something more than just play the right notes and the right chord tones. The first technique I'm going to show you is really simple. You don't even need to change any notes. All you need to do is change the way you're thinking about the notes. So this entire A section is over a B minor 7 chord. So we are just going to use the second mode of the B Dorian minor scale. So we're going to play the B Dorian minor scale, but start it on a C sharp. Pretty simple. If you're already at the point where you're trying to make your solos, your improv solos, more interesting by breaking rules, you should already be pretty comfortable and familiar with modes. So I'm going to bring out the C sharp, the E, the G sharp, and the B, which are the chord tones for the second mode of B Dorian minor. So by doing that, it's going to make the solo sound a lot more open. It's going to be a little outside. It's still going to fit really well because all of the notes are in the B Dorian minor scale. But it's going to sound a little outside, a little ethereal. It's just going to have a really open feel to it. Take a listen to this example where I solo starting on the second mode. Even though I was using all of the same notes that are in your B Dorian minor scale, by bringing out the chord tones of the second mode, the C sharp, E, G sharp, and B, it gave that solo a completely different sound and feel. It was a little bit more outside. It was kind of open and ethereal. So that is a really easy way to give your solos a different sound, a more outside sound. Now, I chose the mode on the second degree because it was the easiest one to demonstrate. You can use this concept on any mode in the scale. However, if you choose one of the chord tones, the third or the fifth, it's not going to sound that different than just playing in B Dorian minor. So I would suggest using the mode of the second or the fourth. So your first technique is playing outside by using modes. Teaching improvisation is one of my absolute favorite things to teach, and in my sax school I have several courses dedicated to it. It starts off at the very beginning with simple one-note solos, then I teach you step by step how to improve your improvisation all the way up through early advanced, where I show you how to break a whole bunch of rules and make your solo sound super interesting. So if you're ready to start your improv journey, or you just want to get a whole lot better than where you're at right now, stop by the Scott Paddock Sax School. I'll put a link in the video description. The second technique that I'm going to show you is also a very easy way to start adding outside notes into your improv solos. I call this half-stepping. Half-stepping. So that is when you take a 2 or 3 note idea, you repeat it several times, and then you play it up by a half step. So if I were going to play the notes A, B, and D, after I repeat that lick a couple times, then I'm going to play the exact same thing up a half step. So instead of A, B, D, I'm going to play B flat, C, E flat. So if you hear them back to back, I'm using the A, B, D, which are really strong inside notes over a B minor 7, to anchor the outside notes. So I play the inside notes so much that you hear the pattern, and then when I play the outside notes, they don't sound so outside because you can hear that they are related to the pattern that I just played. Now, this is not something that you want to start your solo with. This is something that you want to use to add intensity to your solo as you get deeper into it. So this is not something that you play in the first 4 measures of your solo. So I'm going to do a demonstration of this technique, but I'm going to start off by soloing for about 8 measures before I do it, because if I try to do it right in the beginning, it's not going to sound good. In that example, you could definitely hear how that technique adds intensity and interest to what's going on in the solo. It definitely sounds like you're not just playing inside, but they don't sound like wrong notes. It sounds like you're playing some kind of cool idea that is being developed. So your second simple step in adding outside notes into your improvisation is by playing half-step ideas. Concept number 3. This is kind of along the same ideas as the half-stepping, but not really. So with this one, I'm going to play a note as a strong note that is not inside of the chord or the scale. If I just played this note on its own, it would sound really, really wrong. But I am going to anchor it to a chord tone, and when I anchor it to a chord tone, it's actually going to sound really cool. So I'm going to start off just by playing the wrong note so you can hear just how wrong it sounds. So I'm going to play a C natural, which is a flat 2 in the key of B Dorian minor. Take a listen to the C natural. It's going to sound terrible. So that C natural on its own just does not fit at all. Now, if I anchor that C natural to a chord tone, in this case, I'm going to do it to the root, which is the B, I can make it sound good. It's still going to sound outside, but it's going to sound outside in a really cool way. So what I'm going to do is play a lick and really establish that B really strong, and then I'm going to switch the lick up a little bit and go to the C. So even though the C is going to be an outside note and normally it would sound wrong, I'm going to anchor it to the B so strong that it just sounds cool. So I'm going to do a little example without the backing track so you can hear what I'm going to do, and then I'll do it with the backing track so you can see how it fits when there is a backing track. So this is what this concept sounds like. Could you hear what happened when I played that C? It didn't sound bad at all. It just sounded intense. It gave it a little bit of grit. Again, this is not a concept that you want to use early on in the solo. You need to develop that you're playing in the key and develop the correct chord tones. And then once you have set it up, you can anchor that wrong note. I'm doing it to the flat 2, but you can do it to any note. You just need to anchor it to a chord tone. So when you're playing your chord tone, you need to play the chord tone a little bit longer, a little bit stronger. It needs to be the center of the idea. So when you take it out to that outside note, the outside note does not sound wrong. Take a listen to this solo example. By anchoring that really outside note to a chord tone, it just makes it sound cool and gritty. So there really are no wrong notes. You can literally play any note over any chord as long as you approach it in the right way. Now, it's something that you have to learn over time, but starting off with these 3 simple techniques is going to open your ears to the possibilities of playing outside of the changes. So once you learn all of the rules about how to improvise and you can play a solo that sounds really good, your next step is figuring out how to break those rules and play things that sound really interesting. So don't be afraid to take chances and see what happens. Every solo you play is not going to be the best solo of your life, but try and think outside the box and push yourself a little bit beyond your comfort zone. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. If you'd like to dive deeper into my saxophone world, come check me out at the Scott Paddock Sax School.